Good morning, everyone.
Welcome back to the Finca.
Today
It's a happy day.
is a happy day.
I think so. you could, if you look at it that way, I suppose.
On this day, 5 years ago, we bought the Finca.
Yes, our nightmare started.
We became homeowners in Spain for the first time. It's been a massive learning curve for us. Good times, bad times, but we thought we'd take the opportunity on this video to share our journey with you. For those of you that haven't been with us from the beginning, and even those that have, some of the stuff that we did right at the very beginning were before we were doing these vlogs, so hope you find it interesting. Welcome to Finca Live. We're Sharon and Andy, just two people with a dream and a vision of restoring our traditional stone-built farmhouse in southern Spain, transforming it into a beautiful off-grid home and sharing our journey with you. So this is the day that we actually bought the house. We got the keys, we came over, we took loads of photographs. You can see how the land has changed. This is upstairs, what is now our bedroom. That's the back of the house. This one is what will be eventually our bedroom. We haven't really done anything to this at all. That's downstairs in the main house. That's the lounge. Look at all the rubble from where the chimney had fallen down. Another view from the lounge. Yeah, it was a mess. The old corral doesn't look anything like that now, with the troughs that I now use for all my crockery and cutlery. The old kitchen, gosh, what a transformation. Moving outside, oh, there's the old hayloft. We're now living up there. That's our apartment. The old troughs that we did take out up there because we wouldn't have had any room for living. A view upstairs to that hayloft door. The old bodega with all that old oak, well, I don't know, beams really, that they used to sit the barrels on. The old press, it actually looks cleaner there than it does now. It's full of all our used bags that we recycle. You were crikey. There was a big hole in the lower courtyard, which you showed you on the last video we've just spruced up. A big hole, went completely underground, very useful because we used it to put all our rubble in when we started clearing the house, and eventually built that up. Yeah, wow. So yes, that first few weeks, obviously we had no permissions, we couldn't do anything. All we did was a massive clear-up operation, swept everything out, got rid of all the rubble. You can see this one, this was the outside of the bodega wall. Lots of cracks in there, and this is where we were learning as we went along. We'd seen videos of how they repaired old cathedrals and literally poured like a liquid lime solution into the walls using funnels, which then went into all the cracks and in theory sealed it all up. So we did that, but as you can see, made a right mess of the wall because it all poured out. As soon as that crack was full, it poured out and ran down the wall, made a right mess. So good old agua fuerte got rid of that for us. But oh, this is bringing back memories. So part of the cleanup operation was outside as well, and we started with the lower courtyard. It was absolutely full of leaves from the oleander, just rubbish really, soil, and we swept and we swept and we swept, and we discovered the beautiful crazy paving type slabs. So that was fantastic. And you can see here we've started to fill in that big hole, and then all of a sudden it's gone. The next thing really was to do the drive. We made a driveway and put in a couple of railway sleepers to denote our bit, if you like, our property. Again, you can see there, we took an old lintel out the bodega wall because it was rotten and the wall was bowing, and we made that good, put some stones in there, and then we got Eddie the digger in to put the septic tank and the soak away, and to dig a massive trench all the way along the front of the house to install that huge pipe there that was going to contain the electric cables and the water cables. So that was a huge job, and we did do that before we'd got all our permissions because we couldn't do anything inside. We had to put a big pump in just outside the old corral door that was going to pump the waste up the field, because unfortunately we couldn't put the septic tank anywhere else. So 2020, you can see the difference on that wall there, the bodega wall. After we've scrubbed it with agua fuerte, it looks a lot better, doesn't it? So this was when we started to install the solar, really get the control room in the workshop made so that we could put all our water filters, batteries for the solar, all the control panels for the solar. So Andy built a little room with a mezzanine floor, which is very useful for storage, and started to get the workshop up and running, because without that we couldn't do an awful lot. We put a concrete floor down in there because it was all rubble. Oh, and of course in 2020 we planted our trees, which sadly most of them have died now. But yeah, we wanted to get the trees in sooner rather than later, because it takes about 5 years to produce fruit. Yeah, so mainly was the workshop and getting that control room up and running. Andy built a massive bench, steel bench, which you've seen in many a video. We put a slab down in the main room of the workshop to put the bench on. And then we started on the old corral. What a difference that was. We put a concrete floor down there and put the toilet in. That was a very important, momentous occasion. Still having to use a bucket, of course, by then, but yeah, started to make the roof of the old hayloft, which was going to be our apartment. We needed to make that good and watertight as well. So once the roof was good up there in the hayloft, we needed to get that apartment livable, because we couldn't move in without a bathroom, for example. The first major thing we had to do was knock through that wall, because we couldn't get from one side of the apartment to the other. It was just a solid stone wall. So we had to do that. We had a couple of railway sleepers that we had to mill down. That was a project in itself, to act as lintels for that opening. You can see there. Then we had to put a doorway, because we had to literally get a step ladder and climb it through a hole. So we made a doorway on the outside, and we had to knock through for the window. And then Andy had to make the door and fit the windows. Massive project that was. And then of course we had to start on the bathroom. We started to make a little room for it, divided off that main room in the hayloft, get the plumbing in and the electrics in, and eventually ended up with our beautiful bathroom that we have now. Lots and lots of work went off up there. There's the old tiling going on there. We don't know whether we told you the story about the tiles. We were handmade from Mexico. Beautiful, just the colour we were looking for, but we didn't realise they were all different shapes and sizes. It was a hell of a job for Andy to tile. And then we're back to the workshop. So that's looking a lot better now, isn't it? We've got all the bench installed and all Andy's toolboxes. Then we moved down to the corral, had a very tiny opening, constantly banging our heads, and we wanted to put French doors in there to give it more light. It was such a dark room, so we had to raise that doorway. Andy made a massive steel frame, I think it weighed about 50 kilos, to put in there so that we could install our French doors. So 2021, we got the digger inside the house to dig down the floor in what will now be the office, but it's not ready yet. But that was because, again, we couldn't make the doorways in there any taller, so we had to dig the floor down. My goodness. Still working on the hayloft upstairs. The tiling's finished, and we can start to get the sink, the toilet, the shower tray installed. Was exciting stuff, and the floor going down eventually. Once we'd got the bathroom finished, we started on the main room, which was to become the bedroom. Scrubbing those beams and painting that ceiling. Andy made a light for it out of an old shelf that we found. And of course downstairs we needed some kind of temporary kitchen, so we put a temporary kitchen in the old corral, and it was started on that room to box in the toilet. Didn't want the toilet in the middle of the room, obviously. We made a floor in there, put down some big stones to make a nice floor, and got the washing machine and the fridge freezer installed. Exciting stuff. All the electrics going in the bedroom there under the floor. Bedroom's finished, windows in, shutters are on, floor's down, and the bed head, if you like, hiding all the pipework, is finished. Happy days. Then we start on the main living room, took out those troughs, and we start to build some cabinets for the little kitchenette. Andy installed the log burner that he made out of an old gas bottle, and we spent our first Christmas in the apartment. Little Christmas tree. So 2022, the upstairs is more or less finished, and we moved downstairs. The back door into the kitchen was again very low, so we had to raise that as much as we possibly could, and lots of pointing above that because the gutters must have been leaking over the years, and all that stonework was starting to crumble. We've got a big damp patch inside in the apartment. Andy put a new lintel in and made a new back door, stable door. That's the door going in. Carrying on, of course, in the old corral, we hadn't got any windows in there at this point, so we knocked out some of the wall to put the window in. You can see there, we started on the floor in the corral. We weren't sure at that point what we were going to do with the pebble stones, but we decided to keep them. Glad we did, we love them. But we had to make good where we'd dug down the floor. We had to put some kind of stones back. And whilst we were working on the corral, we started on the courtyard. We knocked through to make a gateway, so we didn't have to go the long way round if we wanted to go onto the land. And he made the gate out of all reclaimed wood that we found in the workshop, and of course the smoker queue. Again, out of 2 old gas bottles, Andy made a smoker cum barbecue, which we now have and use all the time. Yeah. You've seen the courtyard transformation many times, but yeah, mammoth task that was. Back in the corral, painting the ceiling, cleaning the beams, putting in the sink, and starting to build some cabinets in there. And there it is finished. So 2023, January, the first thing to do was to get the floor down in the apartment. It was virtually finished, but we still had a concrete floor, which made it very cold in the winter. So put a nice wooden floor down in there. And of course the walk-in wardrobe. We were still living out of black bin liners at that point. All our clothes, couldn't find anything. So Andy turned that little room into a walk-in wardrobe, put all that lovely shelving in and a big rail. And then really we moved down into the kitchen. We had to take all the plaster off the walls and paint the walls. The cave, we discovered the little cave, which we then had to limecrete, I suppose, inside because it was just soil. We had to build some cabinets and put that stone floor down, my goodness, and those lovely marble tiles as well that Chris and Lillian donated from Tales from the Cave side. The little bar area, we'd got 2 doorways into there, if you remember, so Andy built a lovely stone wall which we now have some shelves in, and that's our little bar. And put the floor down in there, of course, as well. So it was mainly putting the kitchen, put a window in there because there was no glass in the window, just an opening and a shutter. Mammoth task, took virtually all year. We did move out into the courtyard at one point to finish that off, and that was to do the main stone floor and the seating bit. We'd got the pathway, but the rest of it was still weeds and soil, and put some purdy lights up. That brings us up to where we are now, really, 2024. What have we done? Well, we've finished the kitchen completely, finished the little bar area, put the shelves in that I mentioned before, and then we're back now in the courtyard. Andy made the table, and we're working on the little hen house. We've had to point all the walls, and as you've seen on a recent video, Andy's installed some solar on the roof of the hen house and put inverters and charge controllers and everything up in there. There are videos obviously out there on the whole transformation of the corral, the whole transformation of the kitchen if you've not seen them, so if you're interested, please take a look. But there are so many photographs. It's been great for us to look back, because we do forget, and I hope that you found it interesting. As I say, a lot of the stuff at the very beginning we didn't record, we didn't do videos at that point, so that's why we thought we'd share that with you. Yeah, so thank you for watching. Hope you found it interesting. Thank you to all our subscribers, all our Patreons, everybody that's bought us a coffee, and we'll see you next time.